2022 Select Board hearing. David, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I sure will.
Where is it?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I have an approval of the minutes of September 8th.
I move we approve.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none, thank you very much. New public business, anyone in the audience? Let me look around. Oh, Mr. Bradstreet. Welcome.
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. Two questions and one request, I guess. One question was, has any progress been made on the lights for the senior center? I know the town manager isn't here to answer that, but I want to bring it up.
I don't know, he was gonna reach out to DPW and we didn't get a response.
Okay.
And he's not here tonight, but we'll be sure to ask him at the next meeting.
I was up there again, and after the sun goes down, it still is dark. The other was, does the town own the rail trail property?
Excuse me, say that again?
Does the town own the rail trail property?
So my understanding is it's a lease from, I'll call it NBTA, some other freight company owned it before that, but we entered into a long-term lease a number of years ago for the rail trail. We do not own it. The rail companies maintain the right to use it sometime in the future.
All right, my next question is, who's responsible for the safety of those who use this property?
As we enter into a lease agreement, I'm sure, and having read it, that we take responsibility for maintaining the trail and the safety of the participants,
Okay.
as long as they follow the rules.
All right. My observation is in several areas in town, Holton Street, Oak Street, there are areas where the rail trail crosses the road. The corners are overgrown with vegetation which obscures. It's a safety issue, line of sight. If somebody can take care of cutting back the vegetation, no matter the protest, it's the safety of the townspeople who use the trail should take precedent.
We do have a committee, the Rail Trail Committee, and certain members of it do maintenance on the trails. They're out there mowing or cutting as need be. So we may want to ask them if they have an ongoing maintenance program that they had been performing
Okay.
prior to COVID.
I mean, the Pickering Street crossing, I've seen people dart out across it without looking in the corner. There's a lot of vegetation. I would hate to see someone driving along not realizing that someone's going to dart out in front of them. I don't think that the town or anybody needs that kind of aggravation.
No, that's a good point. So trimming of trees is an important thing that we do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's everything, Bill?
That's it for now.
Okay, thank you. The board is requested to approve the sale of the $1,405,000 general obligation bond issued to Fidelity Capital Markets at par and accrued interest, if any, plus a premium of $117,501.35, as well as the $4,750,000 bond anticipation note issued also to Fidelity Capital Markets at par and accrued interest, if any, plus a premium of $22,705. Rodney, any comments on this?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. It shows, I guess, the great market we've been living in the past few years that I was disappointed to see 3.4% interest, but still a great rate. We asked Hilltop, our financial advisor, to take a look at the numbers. They estimate, again, that having the AAA versus a AA rating saved us $25,000 in interest projected just on this issuance alone. It's $1.4 million for the ongoing water and sewer capital improvement programs, and then a $4.75 million bond anticipation note They'll cover, again, the ongoing closeout of the Smith School project, as well as the first-year cash flow on the landfill capping program.
Thank you. Any questions, members of the board?
No.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, board members, I'll make a motion, we approve the sale of the $1,405,000 general obligation bond issue to Fidelity Capital Markets at par and accrued interest, if any, plus a premium of $117,501.35, as well as the $4,750,000 bond anticipation note, issue also to Fidelity Capital Markets at par, accrued interest, if any, plus a premium of $22,705 as presented.
Is there a
Second motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none, thank you. The board will consider the application of Krista McConley on behalf of WBC LLC DBA Bentwater Brewing Company for one-day malt and wine license at Endicott Park on Sunday, September 25th, 2022, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the Uniontown Field Day in conjunction with the benefit of the Friends of Endicott Park. And I assume you're Krista?
I'm not.
You're not. Please introduce yourself.
My name's Elizabeth Pisano. I'm counsel for Bentwater Brewing Company. Krista was sick this evening and she couldn't make it, so I am appearing on her behalf.
Thank you. Hold on
Yeah.
one moment. We approved a one-day license to Twisted Fate Brewing for September 25th.
I believe they're going to have 2 vendors.
Two vendors.
Yep.
Okay, that explains, that answers that. Thank you. Go ahead and tell us what it is you want to do.
So Bentwater wants to have their own setup separate from the brewery that was here. I believe it was on September 8th. They'll have their separate setup and they want to be able to sell Bentwater beer that day. So they'll have 2 tip certified servers. Krista McConomy will be there and also Taylor Murphy will be there. They're 2 Bentwater employees. They're in charge of all events. They have experience going to these events and serving and pouring and responsible alcohol service. So they will both be there, and the event is from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., as you guys know, this coming Sunday. And hopefully you don't have too many other questions for me, but
Well,
I'm
where
happy
is
to.
Bentwater Brewing Company located?
In Lynn.
It's in Lynn.
Yep, and they're purchasing their alcohol from Bentwater Distributing. So Bentwater, BWBCI, and Bentwater Distributing are sister entities. So they'll be purchasing from a licensed wholesale.
And the clerk, is all paperwork in order?
It is, thank you.
Okay, and you have a check?
I do.
Oh, wonderful, okay. Any questions, David?
No questions, thank you.
Gardner?
No, you answered my questions about tip certification. Are you physically, I assume you're physically going to be near the other vendor?
Yes, they will, but it will be separate because I do know and they are aware that there cannot be a mixing of companies, especially with the one-day licenses. They need to have their own separate area. So we have told them and they do have their plans to have separate spaces.
And with 2 vendors, I'm sure between the 2 vendors, you'll be monitoring consumption between, I can't go to one buy 2 and then go to the other and buy 2 and the
Correct,
same out.
yes, and they'll have points of sale, they'll have signs that say no alcohol behind this point so that they make sure everything is staying within the area and nobody is wandering off the alcohol.
Great, thank you. That's my questions.
Maureen?
No questions, thank you.
This is not a public hearing, so what's the will of the board?
I move we accept the application as presented.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Thank you, good luck.
Thank you very much, have a good night.
You too. The public hearing will be held on the application of David Bucciarelli, DBA North Shore Auto Body, 20 Newberry Street for a Class 2 dealer license at that location. Number of cars not to exceed 8 per zoning decision of February 14, 2011. Somebody here to speak to this? Please introduce yourself, gentlemen.
Hi, I'm David Bucari. This is my son, John, the owner of North Shore Auto Body. We've been in business over there since 1978. We had the license in our name before. A few years back, I was the one who initiated it, and then I was leasing it out a little bit here and there for some revenue. Now that my son wants to get involved in the business and carry it forward, he'll be generation number 4. I figured the used car license was dormant from the previous holder, went out of business due to the COVID. So I want to apply for it for us again so that we have like a kind of a second revenue stream in order to continue the business.
Okay. Is the paperwork all in order?
It is.
Okay. David, I apologize for mispronouncing your last name.
Yeah, I know, it's Bucari, that's okay.
Maureen, questions?
Where is it? Newbury, where is it? Neil?
Right before, well, it's Torito's now. It used to be Chili's.
Okay.
I got the biggest sign on Route 1 no one sees. It's on the roof of my building.
Oh, it's good. It's nice to see a new
But
business.
it's kind of set back, and, you know, we've been there a long time. My father-in-law started there in 1977. He opened the doors there as North Shore Auto Body, and we've been there ever
Okay.
since. I'm the 3rd generation, and he's number 4.
That's nice, good.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to you, and we like to see businesses in Danvers. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
David?
No questions, good luck, and
Thank
nice
you.
to have you both here and to continue your business in town.
Thank you.
Gardner?
I was here when the first license was granted at the location. That's the one with the stone.
Yeah, the teepee's gone.
pyramid
That used to
teepee.
be there, yeah, but that's been taken down since it started to fall apart.
Okay. No, and I don't recall any issues with the license previously held, so I have no problems with this one.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the audience with any questions?
I move we close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Thank you. And what's the will of the board?
I move we accept the application as presented.
Second?
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Thank you. Congratulations. Good
Thank you
luck.
very much.
Thanks for
Thank you
coming.
very much for
Thank you,
coming.
appreciate it, thank you.
The board is requested to vote to set early voting location and hours for the November 8th, 2022 state election. Kathy?
Thank you. I provided the board with a timeline and the dates that would like to do early voting. So the state is requiring us to do, based on the number of registered voters that we have, for in-person early voting will require 6 weekend hours each weekend, and then 50% of the office hours for the first week of early voting, and then normal hours, normal business hours, Monday through Friday for the second week, which is the week before the election. So what we tried to do was, we went with 6 hours on the Saturday from 10 to 4. The first week, we're going to try to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 to noon. Thursday, we're going to do 11 to 6:30. There'd be no Friday hours that first week, and then Saturday would be 10 to 4 again, and then the following week would be our regular business hours for in-person voting in this room.
How many hours total did you add it up?
Well, it's 35 and then half of 35, so it's 19 and a half plus 35
Okay,
for 54 and a half,
54, yep.
give or take.
Okay, interesting,
And then vote by mail.
as well.
It will be, yes. So for those voters who did not return a vote by mail for the November election, they should be receiving a second mailing from the state to give them another opportunity to vote by mail. So as soon as the ballots come in, we'd start to get those mailed ballots out.
Okay, thank you. Questions, Gardner?
I have no questions. I'm in favor of this.
David?
I'm in favor of it, and I think that our town clerk and her wonderful staff do a superb job of managing this innovative way of citizen participation.
Thank you.
Maureen?
I have to agree with David. I think the town clerk does a great job, puts in a lot of hours, and I always hear great feedback about the clerk's office, how they're very helpful there. So this is very good. Thank you, Kathy.
Kathy, does the state provide any funding for this process?
After the elections are over, we have to fill out a questionnaire. So the state will reimburse us for the added hours, the extra hours for early voting. Any poll workers that I hire would also be compensated, reimbursed by the state. And then they also will pay the mailing fees associated with the outgoing ballots. We have to pay the outgoing postage.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Anyone in the audience by any chance, any questions? No? What's the will of the board?
I move we accept the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Is that sufficient, Kathy?
It is, they're
Thank you.
posted. Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, thank you.
Thank you.
The board will consider a request from the Historic District Commission to schedule a special town meeting regarding historic properties at 42 Summer Street and 367 Maple Street. Inasmuch as we do not have any background material to speak of, I would ask for a motion to table this.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The town manager will report to the board on various items of interest. Anything for us, Rodney?
Nothing, two minor updates, just that we had two events over the weekend. On Saturday, we had the Latinx National Heritage Month celebration, and then last evening, of course, we had the community conversation. Both were well-attended and positive events.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we have a motion on the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to start off, if I may, to thank the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee as well as the Danvers Schools for organizing for a forum for the community conversation last night to be held after the hateful event of Saturday, 9/17. We heard and understand the disappointment and the lack of a quick response by the leaders of this community. We will be meeting after the town manager returns to formalize a plan of who and when a response will be given in the future in a very quick, timely manner. But I want to thank all that attended and spoke last night. In attendance were also Select Board Member Trask and Mills, School Committee Member Gabe Lopes, myself, a number of people from the community, both Danvers and Beverly. Well-attended, some good thoughts, and hopefully we can move forwards. And I think the sense was that these folks, I don't know what else to call them, came to Danvers, not because Danvers welcomes this sort of nonsense, but because we have the highways going through, they had a bridge they could stand on to be visible. Unfortunately, they picked on Saugus and Danvers on that particular night. We need to be vigilant and speak up against these hateful crimes. Thank you. I don't know if anyone else that was there last night want to make a comment?
I would, Dan, and thank you for giving recognition to the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee. I've been active in our initial diversity committee for a long time, and up until the last couple of years, always struggled that I didn't feel that we were doing enough and that we weren't as effective as we should be. And I must say that our current chair, Dee, our vice chair, and the members of that commission are totally invested in making Danvers a welcoming, equal, great place for all people of all sizes, shapes, varieties, and colors. And so they are doing a great job. Last night's presentation was presented as a conversation, which I thought was really an excellent way of presenting it. The city of Beverly, some 4 or 5 or 6 months ago, announced that they would be, their Human Rights and Inclusion group, by whatever name they have, was going to start doing a series of conversations in the city of Beverly, beginning with senior citizens, so that groups would be called together to talk about how they feel safe, respected, and what their connection is and should be to the city of Beverly. And from my own life experience, hearing the stories of other people is probably the best way that I learn truths, especially moral truths, rather than have someone tell me how to live my life. I want to know how someone else is living their life. So I'm hoping that our people will begin a series of conversations for citizens of color, Asian citizens, lesbian and gay, minorities of whatever variety, perhaps single parents, and other kinds of people in our community who might feel not totally connected. So last night's billing as a conversation, I thought, was a very good start, and I have assurances from the committee and from our new Human Rights and Inclusion Officer that that program of conversations will begin. And it isn't something that'll be happening once. Hopefully, it'll be happening month after month, year after year, so that people can feel recognized, honored, and welcome in the town. So that was a great beginning last night. Disappointing that we didn't have a microphone so that everybody could be heard, but we had to move in quick because of weather and concerns about weather, from the lawn of the library to the, first to the atrium, then it was moved from the atrium to the library. So next time we'll be a little bit better organized. Thank you, Dan, for asking.
You're welcome, David, thank you. Guys?
Yes, I was in attendance as well. The select board member representatives didn't speak. We left that to the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee. We had people from the, we had the Senator Lovely and our Representative Sally Kearns there. Jasmine represented Town Hall as the equity inclusion person. And I was also pleased that the town manager had a statement read in which he did it himself apologize and take responsibility for the tardiness of the response. And it's a balancing act for several. We don't want a boilerplate fill in the blanks with the date and the incident kind of response that immediately comes out without careful thought and consideration given to a specific incident. That would seem disingenuous to have something out the next hour. But to, I too was concerned. I reached out to the town hall about the timeliness as well, myself, and discovered that the press release went out at Tuesday at 10 a.m. I heard the concerns of the citizens. We had a lot of visitors from outside of Danvers, from Beverly, from Peabody, and other places. And I think the most interesting concept was to be proactive, to create some sort of response team that when we hear of these situations going on, we can react in a manner that is supportive and helpful. We've had a couple of incidents last week, not just as one at the bridge, where we should be showing our empathy and compassion and caring for the community directly at the same time, if at all possible. So there was a lot of good ideas that came out of that. I'm looking forward to hearing some responses from the people who were present. I talked to Donna Hopkins afterwards for quite a while, and it'll be the subject of upcoming discussions at the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Maureen, you want to make any comment?
No, about last night, no. I wasn't able to attend, I'm sorry.
That's okay, thank you. Matt, we're talking about last night's conversation at the high school to talk about the hateful event on 9/17. Do you have any comments you want to make?
Well, just that the town put together this forum on short notice, and I think that was a good opportunity for people to kind of just speak their minds. Unfortunately, it's been a reoccurring occurrence of these types of demonstrations, and hopefully we can put an end to them. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
John, Dan, can I
Yes,
just note
go ahead.
one other thing? Last night at the meeting, it was announced that the meetings of the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee take place here in the Toomey Room. They don't. Our meetings are usually in that beautiful room, I don't know what it's called.
The training room at the police.
The training room at the police station. So by all means, it would be so great to have more community participation and people attending those meetings, which of course are posted, and they're quite interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll continue with correspondence and new business. Maureen, any correspondence? closing
Sure.
comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was fortunate to attend our first annual Latinx on the library lawn Saturday. Jasmine, Ramon, Donna, Dee, the human rights people, they did a terrific event, and I believe it's a kickoff. I think they're going to maybe look at doing it every year. I also attended the Beverly Airport Commission meeting with the Good Neighbor Policy. I do want the residents that are listening tonight to hear and understand that I think there was some good conversation going back to the board, the commission board, and our own town representative, Aaron Henry, sits on that board. And I've asked Aaron Henry to come in maybe next meeting for an update so he can update the board and the community on what's happening there. Also, I've also asked Jasmine Ramon, I want her to come here to update us for the flag policy again for the police officers and then firefighters, since that's coming up. And Thursday night is the Danvers Housing Authority meeting at 5:30 at the Senior Center. People are welcome to always come and listen. And the rail trail bill, the vegetarian, we do understand, they do have a nice rail trail committee. Matt knows about that too, that they'll take care of the mowing. They try to get out there. Tommy Powers and even Matt sometimes will go out there and do some work too. So that's really about all I have to say for now, but thank you.
Thank you. David?
Nothing further. There was communication from Richard Trask, who I so respect profoundly. He was making a comment upon the proposal for creating a warrant article with respect to those two historic properties. And I guess his position or his representation in his letter was that there has been no request by the Danvers Historic Commission for any action by the selectmen.
That's why we tabled it tonight.
Oh, okay, so it's tabled, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Nothing further, thank you.
Matt?
No, I don't have anything.
Gardner?
I also attended the Latinx. Dan was there at the same time. It was we were there at the beginning. It was great. I saw the dance exhibition and heard the first Latin band that was there. The food was great that they provided, as well as I was pleased to see so many town organizations presenting. The library had a table and the library director was there showing all of the Latino-related artifacts that the library has. The school was there. Mary Wormer herself was there to present the school. There was just a lot of good response about the event. I enjoyed it very much. I was, as Dan said, was there last night for the meeting that was pulled together, and appreciate that it was pulled together. We do need to have community conversations. And tomorrow night is the Affordable Housing Trust meeting here in this room. And other than that, I don't think I have anything that we didn't all get. So thank you.
Thank you. I do want to give a little brief update on the September 9th legislation update from the MMA, where the legislative director, Dave Kaufman, and Jackie Bird, the senior legislative analysis, gave us an update on this past year's legislative accomplishments, and I don't know that I agree with that word, but anyways, Jackie talked about a 5.4% increase in the Chapter 70 funds, which doubles per pupil funding for the minimum aid districts. I don't think Danvers is in the minimum aid district, so we get nothing out of that. Special education circuit breaker increases out-of-district funds for transportation. I'm sure we do have some special education transportation funds, so that might be helpful. There is a 29% increase in the pilot payment program from the state on state-owned land that will be shown up on the cherry sheet, so we did get a little plus there. Chapter 90, $150 million additional funds for various municipal grants. I don't know if we'll get any of those. $100 million for the Winter Recovery Assistance Program, but they didn't explain which winter. Was it last winter, was it this winter? But they've got $100 million for recovery. Be interesting to see what we can get from that. Waiting for the legislature to weigh in before spending that money. Offshore wind and clean energy, there were some incentive programs proposed, but there's no details. Rebate program incentive for electric vehicles, but no supply for charges or funding for that. The Public Land Preservation Act, unresolved. Solid waste ban, this bill suggested, but it's, again, unresolved. Something was done, the voter registration was reduced from 20 days to 10 days. The remote meeting extension to March 31, 2023. Cannabis community impact fees to end after 8 years or at renewal. The Economic Development Bill, which was left on the table with $2.57 billion. Technically, it's in the conference committee and waiting for perhaps a new legislative year before they'll address that economic development bill, which is very important to the community in many different ways, and they just let it sit there, unfortunately. So I guess my point is a legislative update really didn't tell us anything great that happened in this past year, was my opinion. I do have correspondence from Warren Doherty of the school committee who's working with Alice Campbell for a superintendent search. Robin writes, as you know, Danvers Public School is in the process of hiring a superintendent for the 2023 school year. The district has hired MASC, a consultant, to help us with this process. This is our town search, and the Danvers School Committee is looking for feedback and input from all members of the community on qualities you are looking for in our next superintendent. In the coming days, please check the Danvers Public Schools website and the town's website to participate in a survey and for dates of the focus groups. If you have any questions, please contact the school committee members, Alice Campbell or Robin Doherty. So they are in the process of searching for a new superintendent. In my experience, that's quite the process. We wish them all the best of luck in that endeavor. Is there any other business to become before the board?
All set?
Dan, could I
Yes,
mention
please.
a couple of things? For anybody who's interested in a booster, COVID booster, and a flu shot, well, this morning I wanted to do that, and I went onto the internet and checked off a few things and brought me right into the CVS Danvers. And I did this at 11 o'clock, and there was a slot open at 12 o'clock. And so there were plenty of slots open for people who are interested. I think that Walgreens and CVS are among the companies that are most accessible and ready to go. And there is no cost to the cost is we are paid by our government. So we're paying for it, but we're paying for it not as part of the general. And a couple of other things. I'm so glad that tonight the current newsletter of the Danvers Senior Center has been left on the counter here for the members of the board. There is a wonderful senior center in Danvers. It is so welcoming. It's got all kinds of stuff going on, including community meals there. Dan is the president of the Friends of the Council on Aging board. I happen to be on the board of the Senior Center with some other wonderful, we don't do much except review funds and budgets, if you can imagine that. A whole host of things. And So down at the high school last night for the community conversation, there were things going on in the atrium with students. There were things out on the field with students. Inside the building, here we are at night with things going on for students. Our public schools, in addition, from my life experience of going to them, provide a great education, but in addition, there's all kinds of effort to get kids to be involved and building their community connections, which hopefully will last their whole life. Stuff is going on. Then, the recreation department, wow, if you want to see probably the busiest recreation department in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, take a look at the publication that shows of the various programs that are available. Now, some of them were just summer programs, but an enormous array of opportunities for people to become and feel welcome and a part of the town of Danvers. So I just wanted, the senior center is one of my favorites, and among other things, there's all kinds of food going on up there sometimes. So if you're hungry, think of this Danvers Senior Center. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome. So I did go to the men's club meeting last night because the meal appealed to me, but I had to leave before Mo started talking to get down to the high school, and I apologize to him for leaving early, but the meal was very good last night,
That's
David.
what Mr. Bradstreet told me, because I went to the high school instead of to the meal, so I had a can of Progresso soup on my way, and I missed that meal. I understand it was very good.
It was. Thank you for those comments, David. If there's nothing else, we'll adjourn the meeting. I'm sorry, of veterans. Thank you very much. Please remember the vets. When you see one, say thank you. Thank you, Gardner. All right, now the meeting is adjourned. Thank you. All right, that's a record.
Wow.
Beat all of them.
Matt, how you doing?
Right? Come again?
Had
Wife
trouble
has
getting
book
out
club
of work
at 7
in
o'clock.
time.
Surprised when I.
Oh, yeah. You going to book club?
No,
I was your age, I did too.
Oh, there you
Well,
go.
it's just
I was thinking
traffic
that.
and
Oh, so it's
trying to
like-
get here at 6 can be a problem.